that say they gon' beat them Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them Saints? Who that? Who that?
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, Buggy like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Goddamn right.
All right. Shout out to the fam. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all for being in the live, man. Y'all do me a service. Hit that like button, man. We up in this thing. We're going to be talking some black and gold tonight, as we always do. But much love to the fam, man. Good to see y'all in the stream. If y'all can hear me all right, please feel free to hit upon the like button, man. We're going to run this thing tonight. So big ups to the fam. Much love to all of you guys. Much love, much love, much love. Man, listen, this one here, we're talking about Drew, man. Drew did an interview on WWL, fam. We're going to go over it. And Drew Brees did a wonderful job of kind of breaking it down, man. So we're going to talk about this thing, man, tonight on the stream, man. So we're going to get over that. And a Thursday injury report, a lot of stuff to talk about. Chase Young, DMP'd again. There's chances are Chase Young could possibly miss another week of NFL action. 3 weeks straight, we'll go over the injury report, as well as I ain't going to say a popular player was released, but one of the Saints wide receivers was put in the street, baby. So it is what it's up. As crazy part is, man, we talked about this before, that the fact of the matter is that the New Orleans Saints, man, they're not playing, man. They're not playing when it comes down to these players, man. We talk about Foskey, the slow man. We talk about DeMarco Jackson. We talk about Cedric Wilson Jr. These players that's not fitting here, there's no long period. It's like, okay, we got to get these guys out of the way. We got to keep it moving because there's really no spot for Cedric Wilson Jr. on the practice squad. He's not fast. And they got other guys with higher upside there, you know, and he was supposed to be much more than a practice squad player. I mean, this is a veteran here. But anyway, we'll get into it, man. But first and foremost, man, shout out to you guys. Hope you guys are having a wonderful week here. Much love. I see everybody out there. Brother Gundam, shout out to you. OG Jerry is in this thing as well. Good to see you. Snake Bite. Much love. It's Poppy 504. Big ups. Good to see you, my man. Appreciate you as always. Who else we got? Giovanni. Shout out to Giovanni. Good to see you in the stream. Brother Slim. Much love. 504 Co. We up in this thing. All right. What's up, Jaden? Shout out to you, man. So anyway, without further ado, man, let's kind of fire off and get with this Drew Brees interview that WWL did, where Drew was kind of giving his thoughts on the quarterback, man. So if y'all can hear it, hit one in the
glove. Anything you could do for a decade or a dozen years, I mean, that's hard to do. How do you look at Rattler's development with Kellen Moore's offense right now?
I like it a lot, and I think he's a great fit. I think Spencer is a really dynamic player. I mean, I love, like, stature-wise, he's a lot like me from the perspective of you're not the tallest guy, but you're athletic. You can move. Man, I love the way he throws the ball. He's made some plays running the football that have been really impressive over the last couple of weeks, getting some key first downs, breaking tackles. I mean, just some gutsy performances. I know it hasn't resulted in wins, but we've been right there. I mean, honestly, I look at us and the Tampa Bay Bucks. Tampa Bay Bucks just found a way to win those 2 games, and unfortunately we didn't, but we're, otherwise I think the division still is just wide open for the taking. So, look, I'd love to watch his development. I think he's a great fit for Kellen Moore's offense. I really like the stuff that we're doing offensively. We got some weapons. I was at the game Sunday, and I'm looking out there at kind of the speed and versatility we have, on the perimeter, and obviously Kamara and Juwan Johnson, and so it's fun to watch.
Speaking of the guys in the perimeter, when you look at Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, he's chunk plays. You can definitely get that out of Rashid Shaheed. You look how dangerous. But when you compare to some of the great receivers you play with, like Chris Olave, okay, if you want to be wide receiver 1, you can't catch the ball and fall down. How about you get some yards after the catch? Now, you might say, well, Bobby's been dealing with concussions. Well, you're going to get hit in the NFL. We got to get more yak. I know you all, and you always talked about this, the accuracy of the football to help you players get that yak. Just talk a little bit about that, because we need Chris Olave. You want to get paid? You got to be more explosive and not just, catching a deep ball, but how about you turn that 10, 12-yard gain into about a 20-yard gain?
I think some.
All right. I mean, let me comment on that, man, because Bobby Hebert ain't saying nothing wrong here, man. But also add to it, man, I just like to add along to what Bobby Hebert saying, is also ball placement is a big part of why Chris Olave is going low and he's not getting the opportunity to turn and move for extra yardage. And this is the thing. We talk about this on the film. When you break the film down, it shows you ball placement is an issue. Spencer Rattler has a downward trajectory on his ball. And I don't know, and it could be the fact that he's putting it a little lower than he's supposed to put it, because obviously he doesn't want it to get picked. So the ball is being placed, like when he throws the ball, you can see it's a downward trajectory, which kind of prevents guys from getting interceptions. So he's throwing it to the wide receivers is a little low. But that's what all of them. All of them, if you notice, have to go down to get the ball, right? Except for a few passes here or there. But that is something that Spencer Rattler addressed earlier this week when he talked about he has to do a better job of putting the football on these guys. Now, of course, he put the ball to Juwan Johnson. He made a throw to Juwan. He also put a good pass to Chris Olave in end zone. Well, it wasn't a great pass, but Olave had to adjust behind him to get it. But I've seen him make that kind of catch quite frequently. He makes the more difficult catches. His standard of catching difficult balls are very high versus guys like Juwan Johnson, who deals with and suffers from concentration drops. He had 2 in the game last week. It happens with this guy. I wish it wouldn't, but usually if something like that was to happen, you're supposed to hit the jugs machine the whole damn week. I just don't understand. But in the end, the reality is he ain't saying nothing wrong. It's just, in my estimation, is incomplete. If he has to put the ball on Chris Olave, and Chris Olave will turn and head upfield if you throw the ball to him properly. But it is what it is, man. Let's go back to what he's saying.
Some of the more valuable guys on the team are the ones that can convert for you on third down and can convert for you in the red zone. And a lot of times those are, the tight window matchups, where you're just going to be open by a little bit, or you just have to get enough separation. And then obviously the QB's got to deliver the ball, accurately and on time in order for you to convert and possess the ball and go down and score points and play the complementary game with your defense. But yeah, look, that's required from a number one. They've got to be able to, they got to have those traits. They got to be the guy that you can count on in those situations, third down, red zone.
Now, Drew, I'm looking at Rattler right now. I'm just like, I feel bad for him because I know he's fighting and he's handling adversity. I just want him to win a game. You know how to get that monkey off his back when all of a sudden, like, you're 0-7, you're 0-8. But you know why you cannot give up? And you know history too, especially we're looking at NFL history now. Do you know what Troy Aikman's record was as a rookie? He was 0-11. Okay, now think about this. We played them. I remember 1989, we won 28-0. It was Jimmy Johnson's first game. Troy Aikman, we waxed them. They couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden they get Steve Walsh, and they bench Troy Aikman after 11 games because he was 0-11. And then Walsh, the only game the Cowgirls won that year, they were 1-15, was they beat Washington Redskins. But here I'm looking at like everybody, Spitzarelli can't win a game. But it shows you the team sport that football is and what it takes. You know that the quarterback gets too much of the glory, hard to blame, whatever. But what advice would you give Rattler right now as, you know, he's trying to navigate his first full season as a starting quarterback? And what are the most crucial things for him to focus on to get to that point where the team said, yeah, he's the man?
Yeah, look, I think your point is well taken, and I think we all need to, you know, be patient with the process here. You know, here's a guy who was a mid-round pick last year as a rookie and was forced to come in and play, you know, 4 or 5 games due to injury, and not just injury to Derek Carr, but also across the board. I mean, we didn't have our 2 starting receivers. We didn't have a couple of linemen up front. And so, man, you talk about being thrown in the fire, right? And obviously things are different this year. We've been able to, you know, get guys healthy, you know, receivers on the perimeter healthy. You add some pieces of the puzzle. You go out and get Cooks. You trade for Ville. You got, I think, you made some solid draft picks to continue to build that O-line as well. And they're right there. I mean, literally they're right on the cusp. Even last year, a couple of games where they're just right there. They just had to find a way to break the seal, get that first win, start developing some confidence and momentum. But look, I when I watch Spencer play, he's got all the traits. You know, he's got some moxie. He plays with some swagger, kind of chip on his shoulder. The guys seem to like him and play hard around him and for him. He can make all the throws. Man, he can make plays with his legs. He's not afraid to take off and run and kind of lower his head to go get the first down. So for all those reasons, I think we have to be patient with him and recognize that, man, it's going to happen, and hopefully it happens soon.
Now, Drew, you're like kinder than me in this regard. You praised the Saints offensive line, and then you can elaborate what you think of that unit. And the reason why I said, no, they can't be good. They got to be the strength of our team. You know this at the beginning of training camp, late July and then early August. You know, I thought this was interesting. Only us and the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm so used to saying San Diego, but the Los Angeles Chargers, the potentially, who's going to start, okay, is based on the potential because 4 of the potential 5 starters of the Chargers and the Saints were drafted in the first round. So I think that's a fair judgment on them. That offensive line has to play great, and they have not. I mean, Cesar Ruiz seems like he's going backwards.
Yes.
He's drafted in the first round. No, I'm not saying you have to be Carl Nicks or Jari Evans, but you got to win. Come on, you got to win up front. I've been more disappointed in training camp when it was all said and done. We went out and practice against the Rams. Now, the Rams got an awesome D-line, and they can get after you. But, Drew, I'm telling you right now, if we're going to turn things around and everyone follows the football, the skilled people, but we got to win in the trenches. That's what we've invested in the draft. Our offensive line has to be great. Maybe they'll get there. We have to have luck with injuries and all that. But that's what I've been disappointed in.
I think it's a good point. There's no doubt that the emphasis in the draft has been around the fronts and especially the offensive line. And I think that's really, really wise because I think you look at any great team, it starts with those guys. And that's something that I know the guys that I've been around have always take great pride in that. And look, it all works together. You know, I mean, you got to have guys that are on the same page running the football and understanding the run game, zone schemes, or whatever it is, and kind of where to make the cuts and how to make the cuts. QB's got to be aware of, hey, how can I help these guys out at time, whether it's protection calls or getting the ball out and that sort of thing. So it is very complementary, you know, across the board with QB and running back and how those guys work together. But certainly just with what we've invested in the offensive line. Look, I know a lot of those guys. You know, I played with McCoy. I played with Cesar Ruiz, right? Some of these new guys I haven't.
Cesar got him hurt.
But nonetheless, I think that's just a level of pride that those guys take in that room to be the tone setters. You know, they have to be the tone setters.
Now, Drew.
Let me pause it right there, fam. Drew Brees is speaking facts. And Bobby Hebert is laying the game down. He's giving good truth on this thing. And fam, y'all right. A lot of the family members are absolutely right, man. When you talk about Spencer, 504 Cole astutely mentions that Spencer looks great. The vets let him down 2 weeks in a row. AK, fumble, Ruiz, everything. Juwan drop, multiple drops, and Olave missed touchdown. He also dropped the ball too in the games too. Remember, he had some drops too. He made huge mistakes. So the veterans, at the onset of everything, everybody thought, okay, Spencer Rattler's inexperience is what's going to cost the Saints games. Hasn't been that at all. I think people are unpleasantly surprised that it is the veterans that are not making the plays when the quarterback puts the ball on them. The veterans are the ones, fam. The veterans are the ones not making the plays. That is absolutely interesting. And to me, I'm just going to be honest with you. And Bobby Hebert did make mention of Ruiz. He said, look like he's going backwards. No, he's not going backwards. That's always been Cesar Ruiz. See, people have painted Cesar Ruiz. They've been giving Cesar Ruiz grace for a long time. People that listen to the Coma know I've been talking about Cesar Ruiz for a long time. I've been telling them Cesar Ruiz is this, that, and the third. People have been giving him a supreme amount of grace. This year is the year of absolute international and universal straightening, which means everybody's getting it. And Cesar Ruiz, last year was Trevor Penning. They were focused on Trevor Penning because it must be a universal rule that we can't focalize our energies on two stank offensive linemen. We had one that was bad, then we had this other guy. Well, Penning was hurt, so you had the spotlight on the line, and Cesar Ruiz is now the boogeyman. He hadn't gone any backwards. He hadn't gone backwards in his development. That is Cesar Ruiz. That is Ruiz. People say, no, Q, now go look at the tape. For years, Cesar Ruiz has been looking like that. He's been looking inconsistent, weak, just off the chain. He's maddeningly inconsistent and has not developed in the way that he should have been playing, like he should have developed in. And Drew did make mention, yeah, I know Bill McCoy, I know Cesar Ruiz. Yeah, Ruiz was the one that got your ass hurt. Remember when Kentavious Street turned Drew Brees into a NOLA pancake? Y'all remember that? Crushed the little man all the way up? That was Cesar Ruiz. So anyway, man, like I said, that's always been the case, Ruiz. He's always been inconsistent. That's nothing new.
Boy, now I'd really be impressed. If we get the nation's attention. We have said Seattle. They gave the business to Brock Purdy and Aaron Rodgers. And so now going into that hostile environment in Seattle, how did you deal with that, and what pointers could you give Rattler? And I'm sure they're working on communication, silent count, and all that, but and we've had success in Seattle. Now, I still think that should have never happened when, we had 2 or 3 more wins than Seattle. We had to go on the road just because they won the division. Remember, we were on like our 8th running back. I think that might have been the beast mode game for them. And we were way better. I thought we were way better than Seattle. But again, you have to have luck with injuries. But what would you tell Spencer to deal with that atmosphere in Seattle? Because it is loud.
We played there twice in 2013, the year that they won the Super Bowl. We played them on Monday Night Football when we were both 10-1. And that was probably one of the craziest atmospheres I've ever been involved in an opposing stadium. Just how loud it was, and it was weird weather, and I swear they were piping in music, but it was loud anyway. Obviously, and then we played them in the playoffs that year, and the game was a lot closer there, and I felt like we did a good job of handling the noise at that point because we were a bit more prepared. But I think you just have to go into it where, hey, it's going to be louder. Like, just assume that you will not be able to communicate verbally at all at the line of scrimmage, Right. And everyone has to be really, really in tune with just making sure that you're in and out of the huddle with everybody knowing what to do. So, a lot of times it was, hey, it's going to be a simpler game plan because we need to make sure that we can get in and out of the huddle up and down with tempo and everybody knowing what to do. But just understand that you're probably not going to be able to hear anything at the line of scrimmage. It's all going to be nonverbal, and you just got to communicate with a lot of efficiency.
Now, Drew, I never played in a new stadium.
Oh, my God. Drew just said the C word, communicate, for the Saints offensive line. I mean, that is going to be an interesting caveat for the Saints to deal with because they do not communicate well, obviously. But the reality, what's up, Brother Greg? Brother Greg asks who will be at the left guard position. I think with the announcement coming as the Saints shut down of Dylan Radunz, he's out. Penning is lined up. Look like Penning might be the guy to take the left guard position. He's been practicing. We'll go over the injury list for today. But in the end, it looks like Penning might actually get the start at the left guard position against the Seattle Seahawks with Reduce out what I think is a toe issue. So anyway, man, we're gonna keep an eye out on it, man. But yeah, we're gonna cover that momentarily. But yes, this is the communication of the offensive line. Like I said, it's game 3. We should start seeing some noticeable improvements. Games, like I said, 3 to 4 weeks before you see stuff rounding out with teams in the NFL. A lot of these teams don't practice, don't have I ain't gonna say practice, but the live game action. In the preseason, it's the big debate of whether or not people should play the starters more in the preseason. And obviously, the answer would be, yeah, you could play them. You could play them more in the preseason because it'll help aid their synergy, chemistry, harmony together. It would definitely help them sync faster. The more time you think that they would have to practice together, go over the plays, get the timing together, understand the concepts and principles that they need to use effectively and successfully. So yes, you would say in your head, yeah, that would be a good idea, but it's always been the point of not having them hurt in games that don't count. So that was, if y'all remember, that was a theme that was happening several years ago when guys were getting banged up, and then people would get mad at the coach for saying this. So a lot of them got kind of gun shy on that thing. But outside of that, man, the communication issue, all that has to improve. So in weeks 3, I'm looking for a noticeable advantage. In terms of the Saints coming out and playing better. I mean, like I said, the first couple of weeks, a lot of the bad players coming from the veterans, from our veterans who should know better. So is it a rust factor? Obviously, it's a rust factor, and for 13 penalties in the first game, to cut the penalties in half, it's still drop passes from people. It's still blown blocking assignments. It's still missed tackles and poor angles. It's missed field goals. Is it a rust factor that bad? But within weeks 3 and 4, you would think logically that stuff will start to kind of iron itself out. So, I mean, Drew's talking common game, man, in good sense. Yeah, it's going to be tough in Seattle, man. It's just going to be tough. Saints have to do better, man.
When I was playing, they had the old King Dome. And I said, I know about a dome. The Superdome's loud. The King Dome was loud. But I remember going in warm up, and I remember the Seahawks fans were just yelling to be yelling. Well, we warming up. Why are they yelling? Trying to torment you. And I'm looking at the team. So we better get off to a fast start. And we did get off to a fast start. That's when they had Bosworth and all that. And the key was to victory, and I think could be the key now, that unless you, you have crazy, you're not going to be yelling just to be yelling, and maybe the Seahawks fans might do that. But if it seems like when you're on the road, if you set the tone and get off to a fast start, that's the best formula. When Absolutely. You're not playing from behind, and so far, even last week, even at home, with all those damn 49er fans in the Dome, right. If we could have been up like 7-0, or maybe potentially could have been 10, but getting off to a fast start so we're not playing from behind.
That's right. I agree with that.
That's the number one way that you combat a rowdy environment is you try to shut them up really quick.
That's right.
With going down and getting a first possession score and then getting somewhat of a lead. Yeah. That's the best way. But, hey, I think we do have to talk about how many 49ers fans there were in the Dome, man. That was upsetting. I've never seen that much red or opposing teams' colors in our Dome before.
Well, you haven't because you won. I know. Listen, if you win, and look, when we played late 80s, early 90s, they had Joe Montana, and we were in the same division of 49ers. No, that would never happen. But you know why? Craig. We were winning 11, 12 games.
That's right.
Drew, you got to win. And you're a capitalist like I am. I mean, you're going to tell people, because when they put their tickets, at least they're buying season tickets, when they put it on the secondary market, they don't know who's buying them. It kind of reminds me when Detroit came to town.
That's right.
Now that Honolulu blue everywhere in that lower bowl, but that was all Michigan people. So how can you hate the Detroit Lions? I mean, they haven't never won anything.
Well, hold on, Bobby. Another caveat to that is the fact that the Saints people, the supporters, sold their tickets to the Detroit people. That's why a lot of that was going on. And the reality is, and I've said this before, people are going to support the Saints at their level. Meaning every last one of you guys that's listening and gals that's listening to the show going to support the team in your own way, at your own level, at your own pace. each and everybody's different in their support. A lot of people at this juncture of time is in their show me bag. They're in their show me bag. They gave the Saints 4 years. The last 4 years was very hard on the diehards, man. It really was, because they were losing, but it was how they were losing and how the fact the leadership was. The leadership was not, they were absent. They were unapologetic. They were literally blind, telling you stupid stuff like look beyond the results when the team's losing. We don't want to hear that. We want to see you fix this stuff. The coach was lying. He was backstabbing. All this craziness was going on. Every week we'd be asking them, is there going to be a change at the QB position because the guy stinks? Is this guy going to do something different? Are you going to do this to hold on to players that was not performing? All this was going on, and it was noticeable. And when questions was asked, these guys, they had an attitude. Like we was bothering you about what the team was going on. So a lot of that and also the smirky comment that Mickey was making about people not qualified. He said all that during the Saints losing their ass off the last 4 years. So it took a lot out of people, a lot out of the diehards, man. And they said, you know what? I love my Saints, but I tell you what, I'm going to operate with tough love, baby. Tough damn love. What's tough love, Q? Tough love is I'm going to keep my money in my pocket and force you to do right, because I've been trying to talk to you. Baby, I was nice to you, baby. Baby, I was gentle with you, baby. Baby, I came and talked to you, and all you did was ignore me and insulted me and rolled out foolishness week after week after week and literally ignored what I was saying and continue to put out BS. And what happened in return? The Saints shut it all. I mean, the supporters shut everything down, to the point where Gil had to fire Dennis Allen to the chagrin of Mickey Loomis. So in the end, all this is not the fault of the support base. The support base is there, always there, with money in hand. The problem is the team is not doing what it's supposed to do to build a consistent and strong winner. That is the problem. You don't point to the supporters and say this, that, and the third. If they had a bunch of people in the dome that was San Francisco 49ers people, it's because the team doesn't look right. It's pressure on the team to perform. We know that it'll take time, but we gave you time. We gave you time 4 years ago. You want me to give you more time? We're going to ease back and see what you got going on. That's how people are approaching this thing. You know, and like I said, for people who go all the way in, I'm not condemning you. I mean, however you support the team is at your level. But do not condemn others who do not have that view, have that understanding that everybody's different in their support level. Not everybody supports the same. Not everybody's temperance and patience of what happened the last 4 years with the team is the same. It affects everybody differently. So it's that dynamic as well. So, you know, just mentioning that with Bobby Abel, when we talk about people, you got to give them a reason. You got to give the people a reason to chip.
But then look at the 49ers. All those people went from California. There's too many damn local people that are back in the 49ers. And I think because it's old up bandwagon thing. Oh, I've been a Joe Montana fan forever or whatever. And it just continued and continued. But no, that was disappointing because, Drew, it seemed like we were playing at a neutral site. Well, I agree with you. That was
yeah,
terrible.
I mean, look, we can let them fly into town and stay in our hotel rooms and eat in our restaurants, but we just can't let them in the dome.
Yeah, they can tailgate outside, just don't come in the dome.
Yeah.
Now, Drew, looking at Juwan Johnson, I think who better to ask than Drew Brees about a tight end? Listen, Jimmy Graham needs to thank you that he's a multimillionaire, or you helped him get paid. But I used to be, I was like mesmerized. I go, there's no way Drew Brees thought he was open, but he trusted him in the red zone, and you were able to throw him open. And once you have that trust factor, now Jimmy Graham, he could have stayed here forever. He didn't have the production with the Bears, I think the Seahawks, because I don't know if he was trying to be too rebellious. Remember dunking over the goalposts, and Sean said enough of that. But I know you know the tight end position. Juwan Johnson, he could be an alpha tight end. I think he could be a Pro Bowl tight end. Now has to be available and be healthy for the whole season or more than 1 month. But now, I don't know, it was lack of concentration. He had 2 early drops last week. But what have you seen in Juwan Johnson's development? Because here's a receiver, pass receiver and tight end, kind of like Jimmy Graham. But what do you see in Juwan Johnson's development?
Yeah, Bob
Juwan Johnson came and worked out with me in 2020. COVID year when he was coming out of college. We had taken him as an undrafted free agent, and he was a receiver in college. If you remember, he went to Penn State and then transferred to Oregon for a year.
Oregon, that's
and
right.
he was really coming in as one of these kind of big hybrid receivers. Is he going to play tight end? You weren't sure. He's obviously, 6'5", I think 220 at the time. But he was one of those like, hey, we could probably bulk this guy up. But when we trained together, it was all receiver for a week. And going into camp, though, I felt like, man, this guy's unique, obviously just because of his size, that, man, he could convert and be – look, there was no better offense with Sean to turn guys into these hybrid weapons, right? The Jimmy Grahams, the Taysom Hills, and others, right? So I've been proud of his development because here was a guy who, hey – you want to play in this league and play for a long time, put on weight. You're gonna have to block, as a tight end, but that's going to open up opportunities for you as a receiving tight end as well. And look, he's made some plays for us here over the last few years and has the opportunity to be a real feature guy, especially if our speed on the outside can threaten people. That's going to give him really favorable matchups inside. And when you're a 6'5" target, there's nobody in the interior that can cover you. There's a place where you can throw the ball as a quarterback where your guy can get it and nobody else can. So it's that feel of the zone, holes and where the back shoulder is going to be thrown on the field and just all those little nuances that just require time between QB and tight end and yet can have, massively good effects on just how dynamic the offense can be with a guy like that.
Drew, you talk about taking the top off of defense. You know what I noticed? Because the game progresses, and I know it pass more.
That's the Juwan Johnson question, man. It's different this year. It's different because of the money. The money makes it different. I mean, he's a guy that Mickey Loomis committed $31 million over the next 3 years. Basically $10 million a year. That's 12th in the NFL in terms of contract for a starting tight end in the NFL that Juwan Johnson's getting, right? So Juwan Johnson has to be, man, listen, man, that's not good enough, bro. I mean, that's not the last couple of weeks, multiple drops. And not only that, but he hadn't looked good on the tape blocking either. His blocking it hasn't improved very much in my estimation. I mean, his overall game must improve. His game must improve based on the money he's getting. Because at first I thought they wasn't going to give him the contract. I thought they were going to go in a different direction. They were going to pick somebody up in the draft, go in free agency. But when they gave Juwan Johnson that money, I was like, okay. Mickey Loomis is obviously thinking that Juwan Johnson could go up to another level here and become an elite level tight end in the NFL. The problem with Juwan Johnson has always been that he's not a good blocker as a big tight end like what he is. He doesn't commit enough to just mauling and pushing people out. He doesn't have a mean temperament. It's the thing with Juwan Johnson. Much of his game, and I ain't trying to disrespect the brother, but a lot of his game is soft. He'll make a difficult catch here or there, but he's still having a concentration drop, something that he is not supposed to be having as a $10 million tight end. Now, of course, we know he's not going to catch all of them, but man, listen, it's levels of difficulty involved. A concentration drop is just, you can control those. There's nobody on you and you just drop the ball because either you are trying to run without the ball too soon, you hear footsteps or whatever the case is. It's just that has to change, man. That has to change. Juwan Johnson is going to be relied on big time this year for his young QB. He can't have these crazy drops, man. He can't keep dropping the ball like this. It's crazy, man.
A pass-happy league now, and I just look at 2 decades ago, or basically when you came on board. It seems like what I've witnessed is that you very seldom now, most teams, they're not playing that single high safety. It's either cover 2 or cover 4, where you, instead of having thirds, like 3 deep, you playing quarters, like the umbrella, like 4 deep or 2 deep concept, making you having to earn your way down the field, having those 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 play drives versus giving up that chunk play. Have you noticed defenses, it just seems like, especially going against these young quarterbacks where they think, oh, I don't have enough patience to drive it down the field. I just think now the NFL just started, early in the season, 2025, but I see a lot more defensive coordinators, the cat and mouse game, the chess game that they play against one another, offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, that I'm seeing kind of like that softer coverage and figuring that you might probably make a mistake before you go all the way down and get ultimately in the end zone for a touchdown.
Yeah, look, I think the quarters, I agree with you. I see more quarters in college. I see more quarters in the NFL. And I think it's a result of the RPO game. Nobody just hands the ball off anymore. Everything is you're reading. You're reading the coverage structure, or you're reading a defender, and you can either hand it off, or you can pull it and run, or you can throw it to the perimeter and let guys go make a play, right, in space. And so by having quarter safeties, you involve them quicker in run defense, and you also have them reacting faster to the RPO game. Especially anything vertically in the RPO game, they're just that much closer to helping make the play, or they can just get to the perimeter faster in order to help as an additional tackler. So I really think that that's a big reason for it. And then on obvious passing downs, then you mix up the coverage and you've got your pressure packages and that sort of thing. But I think that's a big reason for this quarters.
Now, Drew, before we let you run, I can talk to you all day. I feel like I'm at the bar having a beer with you, just talking ball. What's your impression so far of Kellen Moore, youngest NFL head coach? And what's the most important thing you would think for him to establish this season to build that winning culture like you and Sean Payton had? Well, the first thing I'd say is this: that was the first question I asked all the players, all the guys that I played with. Hey, how you like Kellen? What's the structure like? This and like to a man, they all love him. They love the way this offseason went, how training camp went. They felt like it was the proper mix of, hey, we're working hard, but we're taking care of you guys, right? Like just the way that they structured a lot of the meeting times and practice times, and just the way that they've valued recovery. Right. And so you talk to guys like Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, and others, man, they love playing for this guy. So that tells me a lot. Those guys, they love the culture that's being implemented. And, they've been right there. If they could have made one or two plays in each of these games and come up with a victory, we're sitting here at 2-0 and having a much different conversation. But bottom line is just about, 70-80% of these games come down to the final possession. Yes. So it's just developing that winning culture, that winning belief. Whether it's offense or defense, you're going to find a way to win, and you just got to get the first one and break the seal. Well, to show you how the narrative, how close everything is, look at Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield. As easily they 2-0 because they finish, how you got to finish, or they could be 0-2. It's amazing how these games come down to the wire. All I know with you, when we came down to the wire, we won. I know that. That's the difference. You got to win. Just win, baby. Al Davis got it right when he said that. Just win, baby. That's right.
All right. There it is, man. Drew Brees thinking on that. Yeah, man. I miss Drew, too. I ain't going to lie, man. This the decisive, the ability to know what to do and to lead them there. And a lot of points that he mentioned about the team and the fact that the closeness of the games. I mean, because obviously, the preseason, a lot of people didn't get their work in the preseason like they wanted to. So the regular season or professional looking football suffers the first couple of weeks because the inactivity in terms of the starters happening in preseason, right? So you're going to have a little rusty brand of football teams that are actually, from a standpoint of talent, are scheme better than the adversaries, but the fact that they're still learning with new players, drafted players, free agents, and people that come aboard, they're still learning what to do. You might sneak a win on somebody you won't be able to get a win on 8-9 weeks from now, because they got their stuff straight there. They have their function together. They're an established team, so you can get a win on them now. And in the first week, 1, 2, 3, or even 4. But when 9 or 10 come around, it won't be that easy. So, I mean, you're seeing the back and forth game right here. Now, it is encouraging. I'll give you that. It is a bit encouraging that the Saints are in these games and they're losing, not because of if they were getting blown off 35-0 and then 24-0, that's something totally different than what we seeing here. It's just the fact that in the money moments or the clutch moments of the game, they're not performing. They're not stepping up. They're missing field goals. They're dropping, whatever, missing tackles, this type of thing. The crucial third down play when they had a stellar drive defensively, and then all of a sudden they allowed a guy to get the first down and march the field, this type of thing. It's just locking in and getting it done. 0-2 is not worse than 0-3, obviously. 3 weeks to 4 weeks in, you want to see an adjustment. You want to see some talent, some really IQ. We have to see smarter football, better brand of football, the correcting of mistakes and the seriousness, not panic, but urgency. Understanding, hey, man, we have this in our hand and we have to do it. Because Kellen Moore, like they talked about it, I heard the players talk about Kellen Moore. They like Kellen Moore a lot. They like him. If you like him so much, hell, win for him. You get what I'm saying? If you like Kellen Moore so much, oh, we love Kellen Moore is this, then get up off your ass and win for him. Go out there and work harder. If you love him, you know how you show the coach you love him, you go out there and you do a good job. You catch the damn ball. You break the tackle. You see what I'm saying? You make the tackle. You strip the ball out. You get a pick. You sack the quarterback. You catch touchdowns. You have good runs. You block well. You dominate on the line of scrimmage from offense and defensive line standpoint. That's how you show the coach, hey, man, I appreciate the paintball and the club. All this bullshit that he did during the offseason to ingratiate himself to the team. If you like the man like you say you do, then get up off your ass and make plays. Work harder. Hit the weight room. Do what you got to do. Be a better player. Hey, Juwan Johnson, instead of being on TikTok, take your ass to the facility and work on a jugs machine. That's what you need to be doing. You need to be working on that jug machine in your sleep. I'm serious, straight up, dude. You need to be working on that jug machine in your damn sleep. Have a jug machine subliminal plan while your ass laid out like that. I mean, it's just crazy, man. If you love the coach, they're like, oh, Drew, Kellen Moore's a great coach. He's just this, well, win for him. Win for him. Make him look good. Now, never mind the fact that you're getting paid to, win for the man. God damn it, show up. Show up and show out. And all these guys, if you're that rusty, you need to stay in train. You need to be at the facility as much as possible. Be there early and leave late. What else you going to do? Your job is to play football. If you ain't doing it, you won't be there for long. All this stuff about loving on somebody. If you love somebody, if that's your ball coach and you love them that much, man, go work for that man. Show out for that man. That man shouldn't have to tell you to catch the ball and you getting paid to. Man shouldn't tell you to make a tackle when you're getting paid to. They got tackling dummies at the thing. You don't need nobody to be pushing it around for you. Go your ass out there and tackle that dummy. Work on your technique, your tackling technique. Just study film. Get better if you love the coach. It's just all this stuff about it's just bull crap, man. The Saints need to get up off the snide, man. Stop playing games and shut this shit down and start winning some games. I know it's tough to win in Seattle. We're going to have to preview Saturday. I know it's tough to play in Seattle and win in Seattle. We know this, man. It's tough. Really, it's tough to play anywhere. Seattle is definitely a difficult place to play, but they're not a juggernaut right now. That's not the Legion of Boom up there. That's Clint Kubiak running the offense. Now, they had a good performance, I think, last week or something? Or did they win last week? I want to say they won last week. But the bottom line is, in the end, every place is tough to win in. If obviously it's too tough for the Saints to win in the Dome. So if they can't win in the Dome, maybe they can win on the road. Maybe you need some ferocity and a mean environment to force you to galvanize you to play better football. It's just a thought, man. All right, anyway, man, let's keep it going, man. Here's the Thursday injury report, fam, to kind of go over. Shout out to Drew Brees and WWL. Bobby Hebert had a wonderful interview talking to Drew, man. I appreciate him. He really got some game. Bobby Hebert really kind of got into it and talked about Chris Olave. He really got to it to Juwan Johnson. He ain't cut no corners. He wasn't coating it or sugar, whatever you want to call it, sugar coating it like Mike Hoss does. He was actually making some great points to Drew, and Drew gave some good game on some of these Saints struggles that need to improve. No doubt about it. All right, here we go, fam. Thursday injury report here to talk about, as you can see, Tali Fuaga, knee and back. It was once a knee, now it's a back. His back, his knee, his back, DNP, both Wednesday and Thursday. Not looking good for Tolly going into the game. Friday, we'll know if he's out or not, but you might get a shocker on that one, fam. You might get a shocker on that. Knee and back issues. The Saints might have to kind of pull Kasim Richards in there and give him an opportunity to play for Tolly. We'll see. But it looks like it could possibly be DNP'd again. But remember, he didn't practice last week and they put him in the game. And he played stellarly despite the knee issue, but now he has a back problem too. So it gets to a point where you have to be like, okay, we're going to need Tolly for the whole year. We're going to need him to kind of rest up and get his knee and back together. That's why we traded for Hakeem Richards and brought him in here as a veteran to kind of be, if we start having issues with our offensive line, in which we are. So Dylan Redunce has a toe issue that he developed. He is going to be out, as reported. Kellen Moore reported that Dylan Redunce is out for this game. So he will not be playing. Chase Young has yet to practice. We're 3 weeks in. He's still dealing with a calf issue. He has not practiced yet. Will Friday change? We shall see. Trey Palmer, the wide receiver, has a hamstring issue. He was limited, then went DNP'd, so he's going in the opposite direction. We don't really use Trey Palmer like that. He's the last wide receiver on the depth chart. We don't see Trey Palmer. We don't see Mason Tipton. So, I mean, he's there, but, we get no usage out of Trey, but he's on he didn't practice either today. Tackle guard Trevor Penning toe was limited, which means he's on the mend. And I heard y'all seen the interview. Most of you seen the interview with Trevor Penning and his discussion about, getting ready to come back. He looked very happy about that. So he was limited in practice. So all indications is that Trevor Penning will be ready to go against the Seahawks and could step in where Dylan Redunce is out. And of course, wide receiver Devon Velley, the big fella, has a hip issue. He was limited. All indication is he should be available for the Saints matchup. We shall see as well. All right. And then, of course, in Seattle, you can see several players from Seattle were DNP'd. Zach Charbonnet, the running back, Nick Imawari, the big safety, DNP'd. Julian Love, the other safety, is DNP'd. So that Devon Witherspoon, the defensive back, is DNP'd. Other players, Derek Hall, Troy Horton, Josh Joby, Ernest Jones, and Abraham Lucas, all in some capacity, the full practice or limited practice, as they get ready for Sunday afternoon's matchup against the Seattle Seahawks. So the Saints dealing with offensive line issues, and it's a part of the game, man. We've seen this last year. We've seen the Saints had issues with their offensive line last year, and this year, you look at it and you say, hey, man, we're going to have to learn and address this, and they did. So they picked up some guys, Xavier Truss, Akeem Richardson trade, and traded for Fortner and all this for the center position. So the Saints to improve the offensive line and kind of brace themselves for injuries there. And we definitely getting hit with the injuries right now. Penning's coming back, so that's a positive because we need him to kind of, not be the undisciplined Penning who blocks too high. We need Trevor Penning to kind of what they called him, the mood guy or whatever it was. They use a different term, for lack of better words. I think it was the tempo guy or the mood guy or the emotional leader or something to that degree. And hopefully we need that, man. We need some meanness there without the penalties. So Trevor Penning can come in there and maul people and do a couple of pancakes, hopefully without getting the penalty, man. So we'll see what happens there. All right, and also keep it moving, fam. Speaking of offensive linemen and former Saint offensive linemen, the Seattle Seahawks did sign a former Saints offensive lineman. Saints and Seattle are going to face off against each other this weekend, and Ian Rappaport reported that the Saints and the former Saint and Giant offensive lineman Shane Lemieux is signing with the Seattle Seahawks on a practice squad. Former Giants and Saints offensive lineman is signing with the Seattle Seahawks practice squad, said Ian Rappaport. This could be a little game they're looking to take. But if you remember, Shane Lemieux played last year for the offensive line coach that is currently in Seattle, right? If y'all remember, he's currently in Seattle. Our offensive coordinator from last year, our QB coach, Janoku, from last year, and the offensive line coach is currently all working for Seattle. So when Kubiak left, he took his buddies with him up there to Seattle, and that's where they are. Shane Lemieux was, working for them. And Shane Lemieux is not a very good offensive lineman. He can't stay healthy. He's a lot of times his technique is bad. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's not as strong as you need him to be, not as mobile as you need him to be. But people continue to take chances on him. I just wish he was starting, because that means we'd at least get 4 or 5 sacks off of him. But just letting y'all know, and this is sometimes a practice squad move, but usually when you look at signing a player from the same team that you're playing that week, and they come from the team that you are, usually try to soak up a little game about them. But Kubiak, was here for a year, and these other guys, and now we know it's a different staff here, so they'll try to pick up some game. It ain't nothing Lemieux could teach him. Even though Lemieux was here in training camp, they're going to try to pick some game out of his head from when he played. He was here early this year. He was here this early years working before they ultimately got rid of his ass again. But they're going to probably try to use him to pick some game about what Kellen Moore's got going on. This is a common technique that most NFL teams do. We do it. All right, anyway. Let's keep it moving to another article. And this is Sports Illustrated via the Saints. And this is another thing they kind of talk about, is that the Saints have, they quietly cut a former Cowboy QB. Saints resigned QB again. The current day JT Barrett is Hunter Deckers. He's obviously the new JT Barrett. And what I mean by that, he's the guy the Saints cut, sign, cut, sign, over and over and over again. That's what they do. They won't say. So they brought Hunter Deckers back and put him on the practice squad. But to make room, Nick Underhill, shout out to him, reported that the Saints are bringing him back after cutting veteran wide receiver Cedric Wilson Jr. This was a guy the Saints picked up under Dennis Allen. The guy didn't work, and the Saints put him on the street to bring back Deckers, who was a practice squad quarterback. They still have Jake Hayner on the practice squad as well. So last year he played in 15 games for the Saints and had 211 receiving yards. And remember, this is a guy the Saints signed on a 2-year contract, and it was abysmal. His time here was, I don't know if they'll bring him back after the fact or whatever. But the Saints, I'm going to show you the practice squad momentarily. They really don't need Cedric Wilson back. I mean, they got players on there with a lot more upside, better upside than Cedric Wilson Jr. And, we'll see. 6-year veteran, spent time with Dallas, Dolphins, Saints, spent the first 3 seasons with Dallas in his career. He shined there. He had some success there. Last year, he played 15 games for the Saints, 211. He's headed to the open market for at least a short time. We've seen the Saints make moves left and right. Case in point is Deckers has been signed and cut numerous times. Maybe we'll see the same thing happen with Wilson over the next few days. There's no way to know, but it's also just the nature of the practice squad. It's all about changing and revolving the door. All I know is the Saints are not cutting and signing and cutting and signing guys that they know that's going to help them, that's on that practice squad. That's all I got to say. But the bottom line is just proof positive that the Saints need to do better with who we have on the practice squad. Cedric Wilson Jr. had really not done anything since he's been here. He's not a good blocker, not much on the blocker. He is made zero impact in terms of a wide receiver. It was just a poor signing, one of many poor signings under Dennis Allen. He was signed to basically be the wide receiver, to be the professional that they pair with Chris Olave when Michael Thomas's contract run out. And I know it sounds preposterous, but that's what Dennis Allen did. When he signed him, I was like, man, this dude, and really he should have been cut last year. And I was saying it, I was like, why is this guy still on the team? He dropped passes, he's not effective. But in the end, this is the Saints, this is Kellen Moore Saints. And if you can't contribute, you got to go. Look at what I'm just saying, man. It's a different effect. Cedric Wilson Jr., if JT Gray couldn't make it here, and they pivoted and went away from JT Gray. They pivoted. Yeah, it's time for this guy to go too. So it just simply is what it is. All right, here's a look at the practice squad, fam, to kind of go over with it for you. Get on the big screen here. Just to look at the practice squad currently. Kevin Austin Jr. is one of the wide receivers, let's say, with more of an upside. Kevin Austin Jr. is 6'2", 200-pound. Second-year man is on the practice squad. He's healthy if you need a wide receiver. And also the other wide receiver is Tommy Millette, who is the QB/wide receiver prospect, who's super fast, 6 feet, 208 pounds. He high side. So whether it's Kevin Austin Jr. or Tommy Millette, you have wide receivers with more upside and more impactful that can be more impactful for your squad. So you can see right here, fam. 2 quarterbacks, Hunter Deckers and Jake Hayner on the practice squad. Wide receiver Kevin Austin Jr., cornerback Dallas Beanham, Elliott Davis, and the other safety Fadil Diggs is on that squad. Kosiah Izzard, or Izard, I think his name is pronounced, defensive tackle. They have Easton Kilty, who is on there. And then the Saints added these guys the other day. Satoa Lamia, who's the former Seattle Seahawks offensive lineman, and Big Will Sherman, who was the former Bronco offensive lineman. They added them to the practice squad for depth pieces, right? And, of course, you see other guys there, like Iku Lata, who was the linebacker the Saints added from Auburn. Garrett Nelson, a defensive end prospect from Nebraska that has an interesting upside. Jaden Price, who's another cornerback who had some plays in training camp. Nephi Sewell is there. Charlie Smith, Trayton Welch, the tight end who almost made the team. He's on the practice squad. So the Saints have an interesting mix of players that they can move in and out of the practice squad that can help. Like when they needed to go, when guys were hurt, they went to Fadil Diggs, who made an impact. They went to Jonah Williams, who made an impact. Guys off the practice squad that can come in and start and make plays for you, right? That's what the practice squad is an extension of your active roster where you stash talent that's familiar with your system, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams. You stash them there and you pull from your practice squad when you need to add to your team. Why? Because it's obviously common sense, because what it means is it's a shorter learning curve with guys on the practice squad versus somebody coming in off the street. So the Saints are practicing that. That's one of the things I talked about or thought about when they signed Kellen Moore as the coach. I like how the Philadelphia Eagles use their practice squad as an actual literal extension of their active roster. So they've done a good job there. And they're also not afraid to go out and get guys. Like we see a few guys that talked about Garrett Nelson and Tommy Malott, guys that have value to them that can bring you coming in over time. Kind of getting the practice guys ready and having them with the mindset is that, listen, you might be on the practice squad right now, but if we have injuries, you guys could be thrust into a larger role just like that. So be ready. That's something to talk about. But anyway, man, listen, man, that's what I got for y'all. Shout out to you guys. Let me see if you guys if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat right quick, fam. And I'm gonna do my best to rap about it. What's up, Ro? Shout out to Ro. Good to see you in the building. Brother Greg, shout out to you. Brother Duke is in this thing. What's up, Steel Bill? Shout out to Steel Bill. Kathleen, shout out to the Queen. All right. Big ups to y'all, man. Good to see. What's up, Quavadia? Shout out to you, brother. All right. Anyway, let me see. One of the family members asked me, said, Hemisphere says some of these vets have been there too long. Q, they all got to go. Juwan Johnson, Ruiz, Jordan, Ruiz, Davis, Jordan, they all got to go. Yeah, I think the time is coming for Cam Jordan. Obviously, Cam Jordan and Demario Davis is on their last year, so this is like a celebratory, like a tour, I guess you want to say. These guys are done after this. There is no extending contracts for these guys to be playing. Their time is up because they got people in place that they've spent money for to step in. And be honest with you, we got a lot of money that's on these older players. If they, once they move off the team, then we can kind of move into where we need to be, in terms of the youth and speed of the team. We need to get faster. And like I said, Cam had a great start of his season. He had a sack and a half the first game, but he disappeared in the second game. Where was he? Somebody pulled him through a portal somewhere. He disappeared in the second game against the 49ers. He was literally absent. Carl Granderson still got 2 sacks. Cam was nowhere to be found. And that happens. That's why he's good in a reserve role. You need to have somebody there with a lot more speed that can put pressure on those guys. And we just didn't do that, man. So we can't let the love for the veterans, they have to have a proper role. But at the same time, if we need speed out there in coverage situation, you got to pull slower players off the field and put faster ones on. It's just an extra plan, right? All right, big ups, fam. Yes, indeed. All right, yes. I think I answered the question about the offensive lineman. Shout out to you, Gundam. All right, brother Philip, how you doing, Phil? Shout out to Philip Harvey, Harvard. Sorry. Toucan Sam. Shout out to you. Yeah, much love. All right. All right. Hemisphere says, yeah, Kellen will start phasing out people out of these starting spots, play the young guys and see what they got. Yeah, he has no loyalty to, he don't have no loyalty to no Cesar Ruiz, man. Cesar Ruiz is on tape looking terrible, man. Looking terrible. You can't hide him no more. English says Peyton put Wayne Gandy. Yeah, I remember Wayne Gandy. They got him from the Steelers. Recliner out by airline drive for Waste Management to pick up. Kellen is going to have to put his foot down on these damn penalties. And that's the thing. When we talk about them loving the player, you heard what Bobby Hebert and with talking to Drew and what Drew said about the love the players have for Kellen Moore. The greater love you have is to play for him, to win. You know, that's how you make your coach look good. You got to win. What's up, Asa? Shout out to Asa. Says, so sad how many Niners fans were in the Dome. It felt like a home game for them. Our fans are not showing up for the game. Well, Asa, that's because the Saints are not handling the business, my brother. And people feel like they got better things to do to sit up there and watch the Saints drop passes, miss tackles, and look crazy. Hell, they'll sit in their house, stay at their house in front of their television, and have a short trip to the fridge, as opposed to, hey, listen, bro. I don't know if y'all. There's quite a few people go to the Dome. I went to the Dome a lot. I ain't been doing so in the last several years, but I used to go to the Dome a lot. And it's not a easy experience. It's not like New Orleans Pelicans. Like if you go to the Smoothie King Center, it's an experience. It's an entertainment. You go there, you can park easily. You flow to the game. Everything, the security gets you in through the gate. If you want some snacks, you get you whatever you want. Them $20 nachos or $5 bill, whatever you want. You go find you a seat. They got entertainment going on. Everything flows. When you go to a Saints game, my experience is because there's so many more people than an NBA game, it got a little bit chaos to it and this kind of stuff. And the seats are kind of small when you sit down, and this kind of stuff in it. It's not quite the same. And it's a different experience, man. Because you got to deal with the traffic. If you park, you got to find your car. You got to wait to get out of there. If you park in a building, they got all these people backed up. The police do the best they can do. They, situate you and direct you out of the parking lot. But it's so much other stuff going on, man. It's not as comfortable as you would like it to be. Not as comfortable as your goddamn couch. And if the Saints ain't giving them a reason to go through all of that, then why would they? Why would they? The 49ers, even though the 49ers just out-efforted the Saints, man. It's the truth. The 49ers out-efforted the Saints. They out-efforted them. They were shorthanded too. They were more shorthanded than the Saints. They were missing a top quarterback, the top wide receiver, the top tight end. Wide receiver, tight end, and quarterback. The top three guys were missing. The top wide receiver just came back from injuries. He was banged up. He was dealing with injuries. He wasn't fully healthy. And he was still catching passes on them. The offensive line, they had injuries on the offensive line. So they had a new kicker. Panero just got signed. They got rid of the guy. They just signed Panero. He outkicked Groupie. So it's like they out-efforted them. It's like, okay, we're going to come to play. They were flying to the ball. They were making the plays. They were catching the ball. They're making difficult catches. The guy was pushing the ball down the field, and the Saints wasn't pressuring them. It's half-ass football. And I'm listen, I don't care who you are. You're not going to be sitting there wasting your valuable time. The Most High give you a certain amount of time to walk on this planet. I'm pretty sure you don't want to spend the majority of it watching shitty football. Let's just keep it real. Be honest with you. None of us in here are immortals. It'll be pretty good if we all were immortal, because then we have all the time to watch shitty football. But at the end of the day, if you're a human being and a non-immortal, you don't want to spend your time watching shitty football, man. People dropping touchdown passes and all this kind of fanciful rhetoric. And you're practicing all the time? Come on, man. It's just what it is, fam. I know it sounds kind of harsh, but that's the reality. People want to see better. And when they start showing better, showing them that they respect themselves and respect their coach by playing with passion and intelligence and with a purpose and laying it out on the field smartly, then people will start to bless them with support again. That's how we go. So it is simply what it is, man. All right. What's up, Ash? Shout out to Ashley. She said, hey, Q and fam, I'm rocking with you guys. Tomorrow's my birthday. All right. Happy birthday, Ash. Everybody wish Ash a happy birthday. Shout out to you, girl. Happy birthday. Shout out to Ash. Round of applause. Happy Who Dat birthday to you. That's what's up, Ash. Happy birthday to you, sweetheart. I ain't going to ask you how old you are. All right. I see you about 29. All right. All right. E-Cal, what's up, fam? Shout out to you, my brother. Good to see you, man. Much love. Who Dat Records, man. Much love, man. All right. Appreciate you, my brother. All right. Yes. Happy birthday. Look at her, the fan. Yeah. Wish her a happy birthday, man. Big ups to her, man. Happy birthday to you, sweetie. All right. What's up, Scoob? Shout out to my brother. What it do, pimping? Shout out to my brother, Scoob, man. But yeah, man, this is what it is, man. Tomorrow, fam, we'll see. I think I'm going to have the Seattle preview stream. It'll be either tomorrow or Saturday sometimes. It'll probably, we'll see, man. My schedule is kind of pinched for tomorrow, so we'll see what we got going on. If it's more than likely probably going to be Saturday, sometimes early before the games get going. But y'all just hit that notification bell, and you'll know. And this is the last question. Hemisphere says, Q, I think Kellen will get the Saints back to winning games as long as Gumsmacking Mickey let Kellen cook. He will let him cook. Mickey is not a meddler. Mickey doesn't meddle. Mickey will give you the team and go in his room and close the door. He doesn't meddle. That's the thing about Mickey Loomis. He doesn't meddle on the team. He don't meddle. So he'll let Kellen cook and do whatever he want to do. He'll sign the players that he won't let him sign. He'll do all of that type of stuff. And I think Kellen Moore eventually will get the Saints to start winning. I mean, what could he do? I mean, besides try to persuade them to be professionals. And whether, I don't know how rusty you are where you can't catch a pass or make a block. I just don't understand. But if you watch the tape, they're not together, man. Like when they're blocking, like we've seen, and it's not just the linemen. There was film that I showed on the last Patreon, man. For y'all who don't know, man, just go to patreon.com/the Pro Media Network or join YouTube. We do the film work. Man, listen, there was plays where I was showing on there where it wasn't just the offensive line. The wide receivers went out and started blocking and didn't block anybody. I'm like, man, you guys, y'all got to do better than this, man. I mean, they're actually paying you real money to play like this. And I'm talking about guys that are professionals, like they've been here for 4 or 5 years, been in the game for years. And when you play in the NFL and you go with these, you know, are being coached by different coaches, sooner or later, some of what they're talking about is going to mesh because a lot of them is doing the same thing. They're just calling it different words. But, I mean, it was just like, wow. Yeah, but, you know, like I said, I chalk a lot of it up to just unfamiliarity and rust. And now weeks 3 and 4, I won't see some noticeable improvement. You guys got enough tape, 2 weeks worth of tape, and we're 3 weeks and going into the 3rd week where you should be able to self-correct and win a game. There has to be a sense of urgency around that building to not go into this season 0-3, because I assure you, if you lose this one against Seattle when week 4 come, I will assure you that they're not beating no Bills if they can't beat the Seahawks. You got to step up and build the confidence. The Bills are a good team. They can very well, if they don't get it straight, could be, when September over with, these people could be 0-4. It's amazing, man. All right, and what's up, Brother Will? How you doing, man? Ricky Bobby, shout out to you, man. But anyway, with that being said, fam, I'm going to cut out on that. Listen, I appreciate y'all for letting me holler at y'all tonight. Like I said, I'll be back to probably Friday, if not Friday, Saturday, early with a preview of the Seahawks game, Saints Seahawks, week 3. it's going to be an interesting game. Y'all heard what Drew said about the noise and all that. Saints can't win in the dome. Maybe they need some aggression or some a nervous environment to get them right. I don't know. Maybe they need a me against the world type environment where they start galvanizing and working together better. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what it is and how it goes moving forward, man. But in the end, man, we'll be here to watch it all. What's up, Kai? Shout out to Kai. All right, with that being said, I'm out, man. I'm going to holler at y'all tomorrow. You have a wonderful rest of y'all night. And I'm going to wrap with y'all tomorrow or Saturday. Much love. Peace. Who that to you? I'm out.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the WRO Media Network.
Who that say they gon' beat them Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them Saints? Who that? Who that?
WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, and even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who Dat and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who Dat in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. Remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who Dat Too.